Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video where we study grade 9 math. In this video, we're going to look at the last rules for radicals, and there are three rules. One of them, the first one, deals with addition of radicals. So it might look complicated, so if I just read it out loud, a root x plus b root x equals a plus b root x. But this is a very simple rule actually. If I put it in numbers, it would look like this. 2 root 2 plus 3 root 2 equals 5 root 2. So the rule simply says, if you have two expressions that have the same square root, so if you look here, we both have square root of 2, and they're supposed to be added together, you can simply add the numbers that are next to them and keep the square root exactly the same. So you can just do 2 plus 3 equals 5, but then at the end just write the square root again next to the 5. If we think about it in terms of just variables or x, it's exactly the same. So it's like writing 2x plus 3x equals 5x, but instead of x we have a square root. So the one important condition for this is that the square roots have to be identical. If they're different, I cannot do this addition. So if I look at square root of 3 plus square root of 7, for example, that's not going to give me anything. This is the simplest form for this expression. All right. The next rule is about subtraction, and it works exactly the same way. So if I do 3 square root of 3 minus 2 square root of 3, I have identical square roots. I'll do 3 minus 2, which is 1. So it would be 1 square root 3. And whenever we have 1 next to something, whether it's x square root 3 or whatever, we don't write the 1 anymore. So this would be square root 3. All right. Now the last rule is a little tricky, but it basically says if you have a fraction where the denominator, as in the number in the bottom part, is a square root, there's a way to get rid of that. And the way to do it is that you multiply this fraction by another fraction. The other fraction is going to be the square root in both the numerator and denominator. And the reason you will do that is because when you multiply the square root by itself in the denominators, you get square root of b squared. And if you remember from the previous video, when I have a squared number that is square rooted, they cancel each other out. So the only reason I do that is to remove the square root from the denominator, getting just a number. And when I do it this way, I don't change the value of the fraction, of course, because I'm multiplying the fraction. Let's look at it with numbers. So 2 over square root of 3. If I multiply it by a fraction that has numerator and denominator that are identical, I don't change the value of the fraction at all. It stays exactly the same. All right. So in numbers, it would look like this. 2 divided square root 3. I would multiply that by a fraction that is square root 3 divided by square root 3, giving me 2. So we multiply fractions forward like that. So 2 will be multiplied by square root 3 as the numerator, and the denominator is only going to be 3 instead. So by doing that, I get rid of the square root from the denominator part. All right. Now we're going to look at a couple of examples where we put all the rules together from the previous video and from this video. Okay. First example says, of course, the whole point of doing these exercises is to simplify what we see. Write it in its simplest form. Okay. So the first question says square root of 8 plus square root of 2. And these questions are all about us trying to break down the square roots using what we know. So square root of 2, immediately I can say that, oh, I can't do anything about the square root 2. It's not going to change. However, square root 8, I can break it down. I can do square root of 4 times 2. Right? And then just remember to write everything else. Okay. Well, if we remember one of the rules from the previous video, when we have two numbers multiplied by each other under a square root, I can separate them. I can write them like this: square root of 4 multiplied by square root of 2, and then I'll write everything else the same. All right. Now square root of 4, we know it's 2. So actually this will turn to 2 square root 2, they're multiplied, plus square root 2. And now what do we have here? We have rule number 1 that we can apply. It's the same square root in both parts, and they're added. So I'll do 2 plus, I don't see a number here, but if I don't see a number, that means the number is 1. Okay, so 2 plus 1 is 3. So the final answer for this is actually 3 root 2. And this is why we learn the rules of radicals, is to go from something like this all the way down to something that is much simpler, like this, 3 square root 2. Okay, next question. 12 divided by square root 3. Now immediately, just looking at this, because we have a fraction with a denominator being a square root, we're gonna apply the last rule we discussed here right away. We don't have to think about it so much. So based on the rule, what we're going to do is multiply this fraction by whatever the square root is in the denominator. And this will in turn is going to give us 12 square root 3 divided by square root is going to disappear, and we'll just have the number 3. Right? Final step is we see that, oh, we have a 12 here as a numerator divided by 3, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. So our final answer here is going to be 4 square root 3. All right? Okay, last one. This last one is going to take a few more steps to do. And there's a couple of ways to go about it. The way I will show you here is first, well, we see a fraction as well, right? And we see a denominator that is a square root. So maybe you'll think, okay, so let's multiply this by square root 40 over square root 40. And you wouldn't be wrong. However, the way my brain works. So this is a matter of preference at this point, but I would prefer to simplify the square root first and then multiply after I simplify it, make it a smaller number. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to say, well, square root 40 is actually square root 4 multiplied by 10. Is that not true? Which means that it is also square root 4 multiplied square root 10. And square root 4 is 2. So square root 40 is actually 2 square root of 10, which is a much simpler number. So that's what we're going to do first. We're going to turn this fraction into 8 divided by 2 square root 10. And now we see that, oh, we have an 8 here on top, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. So this is actually 4 over square root of 10. And now when I think of multiplying and using rule number 3, I'm multiplying by a smaller number, by an easier number to deal with. So this will turn into 4 over square root of 10 multiplied by square root of 10 divided by square root of 10, which will give us 4 square root of 10 divided by 10. And finally, I can just simplify the fraction here by doing a common factor that's 2 between 4 and 10. So I'm dividing 4 by 2 and 10 by 2, which would give us 2 square root of 10 divided by 5. And that's it. It's all about looking at all these rules and knowing when is the best time to apply them to make your life easier when you're dealing with these questions. Okay? Do take your time with this. Practice is going to be key. Doing as many questions as you can. And I hope this video was useful. Please do subscribe, like, and share this video with other people. And I'll see you in the next one.